What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're back, October 20th, 2022. I'm Michael Ferraro. This is Mark Pruner with Compass Real Estate, and we are here at Bistro V on Greenwich Avenue, the Bistro V that has a long, rich history to bring to you all about the Greenwich real estate market and what's happening, and nobody to better do it with than Mr. Mark Pruner.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, no, it's been an exciting market. One of the things that's really driven our market, though, is we do have Greenwich Avenue.
Yeah.
It has great world-class restaurants. It's got really high-end stores, and it's just a great place to go shopping. We see tags from all over the region. Lots of people come here, and you can stroll up and down the avenue, do some shopping, have lunch, do some more shopping. We've got a couple of gyms to work it off after you're done. And so it is a big plus. Old Greenwich has a very nice downtown, but it's more family oriented. This is more of a kind of an international culture. You walk up and down here for more than 2 or 3 minutes, I guarantee you'll hear at least 3 languages spoken.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's give everybody watching a little bit of feedback as to what's going on right now. So we are live on Greenwich Avenue. We're having an event. People are going to be coming in. We're super excited about it, and we wanted to get this market update out to everybody. And like I said, and like Mark's talking about, Bistro V in Greenwich Avenue is world renowned. Bistro V specifically is such a great place, but it has a rich history, right? So what's the history of Bistro V?
So this started out as actually a bakery called Versailles.
Yeah.
And it was run by real French people, and it made real French baguettes.
Yeah.
I mean, you close your eyes and you could think you were in Paris.
Yeah, it's nice.
Then the bakery opened up a dining area and had a great lunch and dinner. And then the restaurant took over the bakery.
Yep.
And it's changed hands, but the folks here have really kept up the image and the feel of very much of a European bistro.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Greenwich Avenue is beautiful, especially this time of year.
Yeah. You got Restoration Hardware across the street. You got Apple down the street.
Compass Real Estate is over here.
Compass is up here 3
Find
blocks.
us over there.
We have a great view up and down the avenue, so I can always tell. I can advise people when to park, because that is one tough thing about Greenwich. It's so popular; it's sometimes hard to park. But yeah, and it's been a great asset. We do have a downtown community. We have people who live above the stores. We have a whole bunch of condominiums. There's an R6 2-family zone up and down both sides of the streets paralleling Greenwich Avenue.
So, unless you've been living under a rock, then you probably wouldn't know, but you should be knowing that the real estate market is going through some ebbs and flows and shifting market trends. We've done videos on that in the past. Everybody's talking about recessions, housing market crashes. One thing to always keep in mind when we talk about this stuff is there's a big difference between the national housing market, which really doesn't exist, and your local housing market. And everything right now is about understanding your local housing market. Specifically, this video is for the Greenwich, Connecticut real estate market. So, getting into the Greenwich, Connecticut real estate market, let's talk, Mark, a little bit about just before we get into specifics and price points and locations and different stuff like that. And our audience probably has watched maybe some of our videos, so they understand the different points between, South Parkway, North Parkway, backcountry. We'll talk a little about that, but just the general climate of the Greenwich real estate market. Has it softened as much as the media wants to portray the national real estate market?
And the short answer is absolutely not. Okay. We have a low inventory all the way up to $5 million. We have a shortage of inventory from 5 to 10 million, and only over 10 million do we have a fair amount of inventory. And at the same time, we have more than enough demand to meet what's out there, because inventory has been at a record low week after week. Every week going along historically is usually a new low. And we actually started to come up a little bit in July, August, and September, but we actually, the last 2 weeks have gone down in inventory as we're starting to see more traffic. And we're still, as I said, each one of those weeks is a record low, even lower than we had last year, which was record for sales. We would actually have maybe double the number of sales that we have now if we had double the amount of inventory.
Right. as long as, and what we're seeing, absolutely, I agree, is as long as the demand is still outpacing the inventory, we're going to be in a good position. I think that people have a misconception, about how the raising interest rates, which obviously, they've gone up. I think they're sitting around 6.5, almost going to be 7, could possibly going up higher. But they have a misconception as to what the interest rates for the regular buyer due to a buyer in Greenwich, Connecticut. Because it's like the interest rates have gone up, and so people immediately think we're back to 2008.
Right.
Where the minute that a house doesn't sell in 2 weeks in Greenwich, and oh my gosh, something happened, or somebody did a price reduction. That's totally uncommon. I think, and tell me if you think I'm wrong here, but I think what's happened too is specifically in certain price points, but I'm thinking more in like that $4 to $7 million price point where we do see a lot of cash purchases.
Right.
The interest rate has not hurt them as much because you're still seeing
it actually, so you have a pyramid of buyers. The further you go down on the pyramid, the more buyers you have.
Correct, yeah.
And so at our low end, we have more than enough buyers who can either do an all-cash deal or do a deal without a mortgage contingency, because we're still seeing multiple offers for good stuff that comes on.
Right.
Our median days on market to contract is 35 days, which means that half of the stuff is going off in just over a month.
Right.
And a lot of stuff, we put on a house on Thursday and had an offer on it by Monday.
Right.
So we're still seeing multiple offers. We're still seeing, it's just instead of 6 or 8 multiple offers, we're getting 2 or 3. And the other thing is the interest rates have really not affected Greenwich at all, because there are more than enough people who can afford Greenwich. We've got a metropolitan area of 17 million plus people, and we only need 600 buyers, and under 2 million, 20, 30, 40 people, because we have so little inventory at the lower end. We haven't sold a house under 450,000. Actually, we did one this year, but the previous one we did was in 2017.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, trying to categorize and helping buyers and sellers kind of understand this idea right now, which is that I think we're shifting to product absolutely matters.
Yeah.
Pricing correctly absolutely matters.
That's become crucial.
And location, where what I was seeing were trends of people coming in because there was this rush of low interest rates and money was really low, and I want to buy right now, and I'm fear of missing in, and I gotta buy in right now. People were sacrificing different locations, where now they're taking a step back and going, maybe I want to make a decision, think about this location. Then they're like, well, let me really understand this price point, because let me look at the history of it, because I want to make a smart decision, because my 401k went down a little bit, and then I really want to make sure that I'm buying something that's the best my money can get. Right. So the top high-end finished products are still commanding top dollar, but people are I don't want to say pausing, but where I'm seeing a lot of price reductions are in the house that's not quite perfect.
Right. That's
priced
been a
it as a
major
perfect.
issue. Yeah. So what happened was, and one of the things you said is smart buyers. We have a lot of people in the financial industry. They really know the market. They saw back in November, December that interest rates were going up. So despite the fact that inventory continued to drop through November and December, like you would expect at the end of the year, our sales went up. Yeah. And you don't normally see that, but that was a lot of smart money buying at the low interest rates. Correct. Those people are thrilled because they bought at interest rates at half of what we're seeing now. So that's what we have seen. We had a huge frenzy, and you could sell even a bad house that needed $1 million worth of work from March to May. Right. What I call the frenzy. Now houses that need work are gonna sit unless they're really competitively priced. There isn't that urgency to do the deal to get the house, because they think that maybe prices will go down. And maybe they will, but we have a ridiculously low inventory. Right. We would have to double our inventory to even get back to low inventory. Right. We're about a third of what we normally would have at this time of year.
And a reminder, over 6 months of inventory starts to become a more of a buyer's market. 6 months and under typically is more of a seller's market. We've been at historic lows now for a really long time. We are starting to creep up. Let's talk a little bit about seasonally. I'm starting, as we're going into this fall into winter, hearing a lot more from my buyers saying, if I buy this house, what do you think the long-term value would be? Or should I wait?
Right.
Let's see if the price reduction, or what's going to happen in the fall, winter? Do you think that a lot more houses are going to come up? Where traditionally, what do we always say? You know, the spring, summer, you're going to have a lot of inventory, but you have a lot more buyers. So what do you think about that adage?
A couple of thoughts about that. I think what you're saying applies in Boise and Austin, Texas, and Miami.
Yeah, right.
Because those places went up like a rocket, and now they're coming down. Okay. What a lot of the press isn't covering is when they come down, they're still above where they were.
Yeah.
As I said, we would have more sales if we had more inventory. So the idea of waiting till next year, when now if the Fed really pushes us into a hard recession, yeah, that may be, but we really have very low inventory at this point. So it's got a long way to go. The other thing that's really driving the market is that we still have high inflation, and one of the things that you're seeing is people want to reallocate their money into hard assets.
Correct.
Because your dollars, your cash are going down.
Right.
So hard assets like, I remember when the interest rates were 16%, and people were still buying lots of real estate because the interest rate was 12%.
Yep. Yeah. Are you ready to play what's hot, what's not?
Okay, what is hot or what's not?
Okay. Home renovations.
Home renovations are cool. I wouldn't say they're cold. People are still doing them. The vendors are still very busy, but people don't want to buy houses as much as they did that need renovations.
What's hot, what's not? Hot or not? High-end super luxury homes in the Greenwich market.
Cold. Unfortunately, the one area where we're seeing a significantly slow market is over $10 million. Now, what I will say is 4 years ago, we had 6 or 7 years of supply.
Right.
We're now looking at 2.5 years of supply.
Right.
But that's compared to an average for the town-wide of 3.9 months.
That's right.
So yeah, but what was interesting is I just wrote a report, which you can see on GreenwichStreets.com, and we'll do some of the postings here.
Sure. Yep.
Of the high-end market. And we are at essentially an average high-end market, over 10 million. But 5 to 10 million is actually pretty warm.
Yeah. Okay. How about the forgotten product in the town of Greenwich, the condo?
The condo, so the hierarchy of hotness is houses, condos, and rentals.
Okay.
So the condo market has lots of demand. There are lots of people, particularly without kids, though we've had several developments that have gotten kids moving into them. Lions Farm, Old Greenwich Gables used to not have any kids. We're now seeing a fair number there. But yeah, the condo market is super hot. There are bidding wars all over the place. You don't want to dawdle if you're looking for a condo.
Especially anything under $1 million.
Oh yeah.
In this market, if you got a nice condo under $1 million anywhere, even in the Coscob, Riverside, anywhere in those areas, you have a hot product.
Right, and that's an area where we still are seeing renovations.
Yep.
So just because the condo market is so much hotter, that if you need a renovation, people will still jump on it.
Over asking price bids.
They are down, but they're still there. If you because our inventory, as I said, is under 4 months, and I call anything under 3 months a super seller's market.
Yeah, right.
And many of our price ranges, all the way up to about 3 million, fall into that range. They're getting multiple bids. You put something on that doesn't need a lot of work and is priced well, you've got a good chance of having multiple offers.
Beautiful. Back country, North Parkway,
right.
Back country, Conyers Farms.
Conyers Farm is doing better than they historically did, but they were in a deep, dark, cold hole.
They were,
And
when I first started real estate, that was the big, in the gates Conyers,
Oh, yeah.
in the gates Conyers, I don't know, 10 acres, nobody wants that. And then boom, explosion, we're selling stuff left
Yeah.
and right, privacy,
Yeah.
the super wealthy want it again. Has it cooled off?
Yes, over.
And I'm biased because we have listings in there, so
Right.
I want you to
Yes,
say it.
yes, over what it was last year, but it is still a very warm to hot market.
Got it.
We had a lot. We saw a lot of turnover in Conyers Farm. There were people who couldn't sell their houses for many years, and that was actually recovering before COVID came along. COVID just turned up the heat,
Yeah.
because now the 10 acres that you get in Conyers
Right.
Farm, now all the amenities that you get with the pools and the tennis courts and the polo field and all that were what people were looking for, because they weren't going out to restaurants and meetings and things like that.
If you check the demographics of where our biggest consumers came from, New York City had always been a hotbed. Westchester had always been a hotbed,
Right.
because people come over and want to escape the taxes.
Right.
Is New York City and that buyer fleeing starting to slow, or is it still high pace?
Well, and that's that $4 to $10 million range.
Yep.
Unfortunately, what we're seeing is a lot of crime in New York City, and a lot of reports of crime, and it's making people on the Upper East Side and other well-to-do places feel uncomfortable. I went in with a female agent to meet a fellow who's thinking about here. We sat at an outdoor table, and he spent 2 minutes explaining where she should put her purse so that it wouldn't
Right.
get stolen. And this is on the Upper East Side. Beautiful, beautiful townhouses, 2 blocks from Central Park. So that has really pushed the market from $4 to $10 million. But that's still doing very well. We still have lots of young families moving out, and so yeah, it's amazing that there are so many areas that have shortages of housing.
Right.
So what I'm wondering is, where are all these people coming from? But I don't mind as long as they buy here.
Absolutely, for sure. And Greenwich is
Actually, one thing we are seeing are more Chinese investors coming back, and we've only started to see that in the last couple of months. So we're definitely seeing.
They smell blood in the water?
Well, I think part of it is President Xi and his deal of monitoring people, and clearly he's going to tighten it down. Clearly he's also said that he's not going to push the tech companies for high growth and stuff like that. He's much more interested in control. So that money is looking for a place to go, and some of it is here.
Gotcha. So as we look at moving forward and what's going to happen in the real estate market, which, we're just making our best predictions based off of real data. Mark is one of the best as far as keeping everybody informed on what's going on in the data market. He has GreenwichStreets.com, which is an amazing website, his radio channel, and then these shows that we do on YouTube to give the people information on the Greenwich market. It's so hard to tell. We know interest rates are probably going to continue to go up. The Fed has made it very clear they're going to do whatever it is that they can to slow down inflation.
Right.
We understand the stock market could stay stagnant, maybe even pull backwards a little bit. And for our buyer, who predominantly is finance or institutional hedge fund money, not always,
Yeah.
it's tech, it's buildings, there's a bunch of different stuff. If it continues on this path, and we incrementally see increase of inventory, because it will happen, and incrementally see some decrease in prices or amount of time on market, do you think it's going to be continuing that way until we kind of get inflation down and interest rates start to slow? Or do you think, where do you see that headed in 2023 as we kind of approach that?
So the biggest problem that we have with the Fed is the tail on doing a deal or on raising interest rates. It doesn't really kick in for 6 to 9 months in full force. And 3 times in my lifetime, they've jacked up interest rates, only to jack them back down when they put us into a recession.
Yeah.
So hopefully this time, with some more technology, they'll realize that they don't have to jack it up, because they've sent interest rates up faster than ever before, and we're clearly seeing a big difference. The thing is, that's not going to ripple through the economy for another several months.
Right.
And if they wait until we're clearly in a contraction, we're going to go into a recession.
Right.
So that's my biggest concern. I do hope that a lot of what they're doing is saber rattling and getting the attitude changed, which in real estate they've done a great job. It has changed. The froth is out of the market.
I think it's you can just feel it. Right?
Yeah.
There was this fever pitch. We all lived through it, where it didn't matter what you had at what price, it was just going to go.
Oh yeah.
And then now we're kind of getting this defensive feeling from everybody. If you're a buyer, if you're a seller, let's talk about strategy. I want to go over buyers, sellers, builders,
right.
investor stuff. So let's talk a little bit about sellers. Right now, if you're a seller and you're thinking now versus spring, because most of the conversations I have with a seller, whether you're the $2 million price point, 5,
right.
10, they're having conversations saying, well, I can do this now, but we're getting ready to go into this fall, winter. You know, maybe there are not as many buyers, I'll wait till the spring.
Right.
And then you say to them, well, wait a minute.
Right.
You can be going into a spring market where increase interest rate, increase inventory, and you know what? In the spring, summer, everybody else puts their house on.
Right.
What do you tell that seller? Wait till the beautiful weather, everything's going to be great in the spring, or do it now?
You know, and that's where you should do a micro-analysis of that house and that market and what the competitors are, and see what it is. But if there aren't a lot of houses that are competitive, and you're seeing houses go to contract, which we are seeing, November may be a perfectly good time to put a house on the market because you don't have the competition. Because you're right, a lot of traditional folks are waiting for the spring market. And the one thing I can guarantee you is this is not a traditional market, and will not be for at least 6 to 9 months.
Yep.
So, yes, the other thing for the sellers is, you know, I think the odds are that next year won't be as good a market, I mean January, February, March, as we have now.
Right.
So, provided you've got the buyers. If you're over $10 million, I'd probably say wait if you can. But if you're under $4 million, I'd say go for it.
Yeah, go for it, and make sure you're doing work to the property now. If you're not that perfect property and you're not that new construction, you're not that great product for your area, price perfect, it might make sense to think about doing some work to your house to make it a little bit more presentable, because you have some buyers that dropped off, so replace those buyers, keep them, the ones that are coming in, still eager, still going forward. With Compass, we're very proud of our concierge that we have, and we can offer something for different people.
Yeah,
and different
they come
clients.
in, doesn't cost you anything, it comes out of the sales price, and they can do a lot of good work that $10,000, $20,000 of investment can add $100,000 to the value of your house.
But absolutely, to Mark's point, sellers need to be understanding the hyper micro market that they're in. If you're a condo seller, understand the condo market. If you're a mid-country, if you're a North Parkway, it doesn't matter. The super hyper price points now being very, very strategic as to how you want to deal with your price point, how long you're expecting to keep that thing on the market, and looking at what's happening right now. There's a ton of data coming out.
Yeah, and absolutely don't test the market in this market.
No, that time's over.
Come in at a very aggressive price and hope for multiple offers.
Yeah, because multiple offers still can happen, but price discovery mode, unfortunately, is a little bit tough.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is, I mean, if you've got scuff floors, if you've got old carpet, go ahead and replace it. That is definitely worth doing. And also things like, you know, just doing the windows, or getting some concierge or a staging company, get rid of your old Oriental rugs and your old brown furniture and restage it for today's buyer.
Yep. Okay, buyers, here's my take on this.
All right.
So, interest rates go up, but you buy the house and you're happy in the house. It's a dream home. You can always refinance into a lower interest rate if you are getting financing. But keep in mind, I mean, this is one of the things that was great about Leonard Steinberg that I spoke to. I kept pushing him on these things, and he kept wanting to stop me and say, it all depends specifically on the individual situation. Do they have to buy because they're coming up from the city and they're getting their rentals done and they're having a baby coming soon? And what is their specific thing? Keep in mind that if
And
you're
you see,
holding
for those
out,
people, it doesn't matter. They got to buy, so you just buy.
Right.
I mean, stop thinking about what's going to happen in the future. If you get, you know, unless you want to keep your kids in a hotel for 3 months, buy a house and get them a nice bedroom to sleep in.
don't overanalyze that. The thing
Right.
to keep in mind too is if you're going to go ahead and you're going to think about waiting and waiting because you're
Right.
waiting, you're like, I'm going to make sure all the buyers are out of it and I'm the last buyer
Right.
left. Well, there's a reason why all the other buyers are out of it, because we still have more demand than inventory. So they're all out of it because maybe it's ridiculous on interest rates.
Right.
Maybe some of the stuff is just crazy right now. So
And
if you're
the other buyers who really need to buy now are anybody who needs a mortgage. Because great, it's possible that prices may go down and the market might soften and you can drive a better bargain, but you are going to pay a higher interest rate. A guy named Jay Castro over in Riverside, great mortgage broker, ran the numbers. In March, for a $1.2 million house at the interest rates there, we were paying him, his calculation was $5,100. If you wanted to keep that same monthly payment, now, instead of getting a $1.2 million mortgage, you could only afford a $960,000 mortgage. So you had lost $204,000 in mortgage value by waiting.
So that, I mean, that's something across the board. Anybody, if the interest rates double, your payments are going to go way up, so your affordability comes way down. I think the group of people in the buyer pool that are, nobody really ever had a real answer for them because it's not black and white, is that I would like to sell, I would like to downsize, I would like to buy, but every time I go to sell my house that everybody wants, there's nothing for me to buy.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, well, maybe there's less buyers on the market, but then do I get less money for my house now?
Yeah.
Well, my answer is there's still not a lot for you to buy, and the market is shit.
I mean, the way I can characterize it is inventory is this big rock, and it's been way underwater with all this extra demand.
Right.
Now the tide has gone out and the demand is lowered, but the rock is still underwater.
Yep.
We're not seeing it kind of get its head above water unless we go into a recession.
Yeah. Make sure if you're a buyer, make sure again you're getting deep into the weeds with your broker as to exactly your situation so that you can put the best plan in place there. So you can find the right location, find the right house, put the whole financing thing together, and work on the timeline. Builders, developers, new constructions, oh my gosh, everybody wants it. There's not a ton of spec, if any, and custom new constructions, everybody wants them, but I think that that's going to start to slow as people are trying to figure out my buying.
Oh yeah, well, as Leonard was pointing out, his house up in Conyers Farm, his lumber prices were half of what the builder had originally estimated when they did that at the beginning of the year. So yeah, lumber is down, copper is down. There's a lot of things. You can now get major appliances. So that whole world has changed.
Yeah, the price of goods and services, everything is kind of changing a little bit. But I think that the problem for people is they're still looking for, oh well, there's a shortage of housing, so when are they going to build more of these houses? Well, and you know almost all the inventory in the town, so where is it coming from?
And the reason there's a shortage of new builds is because not much was built or not much was bought and started. It takes about, the median days is about 21 months from purchase till sale. Right. So you're looking at about 2 years. So a builder who's buying a property now is going to be looking at the 2024 market. And what you can almost be positive of is there aren't going to be a lot of new houses coming on in the 2024 market because they're not buying the properties and starting the building now.
Right, exactly.
So now is a great time if the builder has the money to do it.
Yeah, because you're in this weird spot right now where the builder's like, oh, the price, this might actually be not bad, especially if you're going to do a build and you have the land and you're going to do a new construction custom and you have cash. You can get some good deals now.
I mean, too many builders wait until they see the market getting better, then everybody bids up the prices, they start doing that. By the time they get it to market, the cycle has gone, and now they have too much inventory, and so they bought at a high price, and they're selling at a lower price. And that's not the way to maximize your profits. Buy when it's weak and sell when it's strong.
If you're a builder, and we talked about this last time, I do think you will be rewarded if you can take the chance on a smart spec. If you do it right, and you can do it smart, I do think you will be rewarded. I think we have enough runway for a smart builder to capitalize.
And you did that great for that one builder of yours on Zacky's Meat.
Yeah.
That was looked like it wasn't going to be a good deal. It turned out to be a very good deal because we hired a good broker.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll take that. So we talked about sellers, talked about buyers, talked about builders, talked a little bit about the market, talked about the predictions of what we think might happen in the future. We never, no one really knows for sure. Like I said,
in fact, the one thing I was going to talk about is on the buyer side. If you're sitting there in a nice house and you're thinking about downsizing, and you're going to take enough money out of your house, or you're sitting on a lifetime worth of investments, then that's a bit more of a quandary. That's not an automatic put the house on the market and buy.
Right.
So that you really do want to look at what your needs are. One of the things, I have one family that that's been in the market for years, and they're just waiting, but they're not happy in their house. And to my mind, if you have that kind of money, the money should make you happy. It shouldn't, by worrying about getting the absolute top dollar, you shouldn't be miserable for a couple of years waiting for that to happen.
We have a group of downsized sellers who have been here for a while, who are just like, well, when I find it, I'll sell it.
Yeah.
And then they find it, and then they hesitate or balk on selling.
Right.
And I think that's going to happen in a lot of different places, and not just here, but I think it's going to be at a lot of different price points. And the thing is, you said it, it's not normal market. We've never really seen this, and tell me if I'm wrong, and then we'll kind of wrap up. It's the issue is that it's the extremes. We're going to extremes so fast, whether it's like, oh, interest rates? Yeah, let's just jack them all the way.
Oh yeah,
up.
I mean, let's go straight vertical with it.
Real estate market. Let's just crash that. Let's just do that.
Right.
And then we look to localize.
No inventory. And I mean, take all of the stuff that we said with a large grain of salt, because literally we have probably in a century, and maybe never, we've never been in a situation like this where you have such low inventory and high demand. You still have some remnants of COVID.
Right.
You have a Fed that's jacking up interest rates faster than it's ever been done before.
Right.
So, you can't look back at history and say, oh, well, this happened 3 times before, it's likely to happen this way.
Yeah,
this hasn't happened before.
What we do know is that the real estate market has a healthy foundation to it. So this is a lot different than the 2008 market.
Right.
We're not saying it's not going down. We're not saying it's not going to take a reverse. It's not saying if you're a seller, now's not a great time. What we are saying is that the fundamentals of the real estate market are healthy. So I think whatever turns we're going to see, I do not think we're going to be seeing the outcomes in extremes. We're going to see the gradual increase of inventory, the gradual decrease in price, and into a healthy, normalized, shifting market that maybe is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have a market like this, I go back to the fundamentals, supply and demand. We have very little supply, and we still have good demand. Even if those two things, even if we get more inventory, which I think we will.
I agree.
Though we haven't the last 2 weeks, it's actually dropped.
Yeah.
And the demand lessens, which also I think has a decent chance of happening. We're still getting back most likely to a balanced market. We've got a long way to go just to get out of this pro-sellers market we've been in for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked about a lot of stuff today. We're going to put Mark's PDF and some stuff on the description, so you can click on it and you can check that information out. You should always go and check out GreenwichStreets.com. I'm trying to get these videos up onto his new website, which you need to check out because it's really great.
And check out his YouTube channel. It's got all sorts of interesting and entertaining stuff.
Yeah, we're going to try to keep that coming for you, and we want to say thank you to Bistro V.
Yes, just a cool place to be.
Yes, absolutely. If you're on the Ave, whether it's lunch, brunch, dinner, it's the hot spot on the weekend.
It's kind of the French accented version of Cheers for Greenwich.
Yeah, the French accented version of Cheers. Perfect. And we're going to try to bring more of these market update videos to you guys in different locations and kind of spread our wings out and see what else is going on in the downtown Greenwich area. But like always, it's a pleasure bringing this up to you. If you have any questions ever about real estate, please reach out to me. My information will be tagged along. And you can always reach out to Mark as well. We're both with Compass, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you guys about the market. Mark, anything?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Another good shot.
Take care.
Thanks.